Before I die, I am going to eat a whole bag of unpopped popcorn. That should make the cremation a little more interesting. The film starts with a detective pointing fingers at a man for abducting a lady and warns him about the possibility of spending his life behind bars. The detective grabs his neck, demanding to know her whereabouts, and the man shockingly confesses she's gone. Following this, we see Will Spann, who works in real estate, dropping off his spouse Lisa at her folks' place. They make a stop at a service station, and Lisa goes to get a water bottle while Will refuels. In the ladies' room, Lisa gets a worrying message from someone named Clint. She seems troubled as she reads the message. As she exits the shop, a man calls out to her. She starts to approach him, but a big white van obstructs the view, hiding what happens next. Meanwhile, Will finishes fueling up and starts to search for Lisa. He checks inside the shop, even the ladies' room, but she's nowhere to be found. He questions Oscar, the service station attendant, who hasn't seen her. Will desperately searches everywhere, makes calls to her phone, and asks everyone around if they've seen her. He heads back inside to get the address of the service station and the local police station's contact. In a state of panic, he calls the cops to report Lisa missing. The officer promises to send help quickly. Will then goes to Lisa's parents' house. He inquires if Lisa is there or at a friend's, but they haven't seen her. A small argument ensues between Lisa's parents and Will. They suspect he might have argued with her, causing her to leave. However, Will explains the situation and seeks their assistance in finding Lisa. Leaving her parents' place, Will returns to the service station to wait for the detective. While waiting, he reminisces about a moment where Lisa suggested a break in their relationship. Frustrated with his lack of response in their conversations, indicating her dwindling interest in their marriage without giving a clear reason. Returning from his reverie, Will waits at the service station. Detective Paterson arrives and starts questioning Oscar about the security footage. Oscar insists that the cameras aren't working, so the detective heads back to his station. Will, still at the service station, notices that the camera's indicator light is on, suggesting it's working. He confronts Oscar about this, but Oscar stubbornly denies it, leading to a scuffle between the two. After the altercation, Will manages to get the recording device and takes it to Detective Paterson's police station. At the station, they review the footage in the control room. They grow suspicious of Oscar's involvement in the disappearance as they watch the recording. They see Lisa talking to an unfamiliar man. When Paterson asks Will if he knows the man, he says no. Lisa gets into the man's car, but their next move is hidden as a truck passes by, blocking the camera. Once the truck moves, the car is gone. Will snaps a photo of the computer screen showing the car and the man. Paterson then takes Will to an interrogation room and questions him about his relationship with his wife. Will admits they've been having trouble. Paterson suggests that Will might be having an affair, which Will refutes. However, when asked if Lisa might be involved with someone else, he concedes it's possible. Will starts to feel like he's being suspected of orchestrating Lisa's disappearance due to their marital issues. Paterson leaves the room but continues to watch Will through a surveillance camera, pondering over his behavior. Will drifts into another flashback, remembering the good times with Lisa, like making breakfast for her, and how their relationship soared over time. Later, Will visits Lisa's parents, Anna and Barry, again and shows them the CCTV photo. They recognize the man as Knuckles, their handyman. Anna, Lisa's mom, confirms the car Lisa got into is owned by Knuckles. Will then leaves to track down Knuckles. On his way, he rings up Detective Paterson to apologize for his earlier rudeness at the station and requests him to inform if there's any news about Lisa. Next, we see Will stealthily entering Knuckles' house. He finds Knuckles hurriedly packing his belongings, looking panicked. Will confronts him about Lisa's whereabouts. Although Knuckles tries to calm him, they end up in a fierce fight. Will eventually overpowers Knuckles and seizes his gun. Knuckles reveals he had to hand Lisa over to someone named Frank under duress. During the scuffle, Knuckles begs Will to stop, promising to lead him to Frank. Will then forces Knuckles into his car trunk and drives off to find Frank. Meanwhile, Detective Paterson revisits the gas station to speak with Oscar, but learns he left early. He warns the attendant there to have Oscar contact him, or face the possibility of the gas station being shut down. As Will is driving to find Frank, a police car begins to tail him. He pulls over at a traffic signal, nervous that the officer might discover Knuckles in the trunk. The cop, approaching for a speeding violation, asks for Will's papers. Then, as he inquires further, he asks Will to open his trunk. Knowing Knuckles is inside, Will panics and escapes into the nearby woods. The cop, after calling in the incident, opens the trunk and finds Knuckles. Back to Detective Pearson, who is now at Anna and Barry's house, questioning them about Will's and Lisa's relationship. He reveals Lisa's affair with Clint. During this, Anna recalls a moment when she questioned Lisa about Clint, to which Lisa responded she met him just once, due to feeling lonely and wanting company. The scene shifts back to Will, now on the run in the woods. He halts out of breath, checks his map, and remembers a conversation with Lisa, where she expressed distrust in him, leading him to tell her to enjoy her freedom and have fun. In another flashback, Anna is talking with Lisa, commenting that Will must be upset about her infidelity. Lisa responds, saying Will doesn't seem like the type to get angry over such things. Back at Lisa's parents' home, Detective Pearson tells them he's gone through all of Lisa's digital devices but hasn't found any leads. He confirms with Lisa's mother that Knuckles is familiar with Lisa's appearance, as they knew each other in their youth. Her mother suggests searching Knuckles' place, but Pearson says he's already done that and found nothing. Lisa's father urges the detective to launch a search operation, but Pearson explains that legally, this situation isn't a crime, since Knuckles and Lisa knew each other and she willingly got into his car. Meanwhile, Will is still making his way through the woods and comes across a lower road where he spots a bike. He considers taking it, but is stopped by a man emerging from the bushes. When questioned, Will fabricates a story about meeting Frank after his car broke down. The man, who turns out to be Frank's guard, tries to verify this with Frank over a walkie-talkie, but gets no response. The guard, believing Will's story due to his confidence, leads him to Frank's camp. At the camp, which looks like a drug lab with people under the influence and bottles of explosives, Will observes chaotic scenes, including gunshots being fired into the air. He finds the camp in a rundown farm in the woods and sneaks in, overhearing conversations among Frank's group. Cutting back to Detective Pearson, he's on the phone with a patrol officer who informs him about Will's escape into the woods. Back to Will, he cautiously moves around the camp, unnoticed by most people there. As he moves stealthily, he's suddenly attacked by a man from inside a car. Will manages to knock him out and takes his guns for protection. He then spots Oscar arriving at the camp, confirming his suspicions. Will begins his search for Lisa within the camp. Detective Pearson interrogates Knuckles, questioning his occupation. Knuckles responds he does any work that pays. Pearson then accuses him of abducting Lisa for a ransom scheme, pressuring him to admit it. Meanwhile, Will is still scouring the camp for Lisa. Suddenly, a man notices Will, who signals him to stay quiet and promises no harm, but quickly knocks him out. Pearson offers Knuckles a deal. If he reveals Lisa's whereabouts, Pearson will argue for leniency in court and try to persuade Lisa's family and husband not to press charges. Knuckles, however, suspects this is just a ploy and lies. Pearson persists in questioning Knuckles about Lisa. In a flashback, we see Knuckles' real interaction with Lisa at the gas station, where he identifies himself as the worker from her parents' house and coerces her into his car under the pretense of giving her an invoice. Back at the camp, Will is hiding and reminiscing about better times with Lisa. He then resumes his search and confronts two men, demanding information about Lisa at gunpoint. When Will mentions Knuckles and the kidnapping, the men claim ignorance. Will orders them to open a nearby door, which they do, revealing Frank, who immediately starts shooting at Will. Will manages to find cover. Resuming his search amidst the ongoing gunfire, Will exchanges shots with an assailant. The assailant gets hit, and nearby, a small fire ignites close to drug chemicals and flammable solvents. Approaching the injured man for information about Lisa, Will discovers he is dead. Overwhelmed, Will starts to panic. He exits the building as the fire grows. Taking a moment outside, he leans against a car, lost in thoughts of happier times with Lisa, including her apology, as memories flowed back. Will urges everyone to flee the area due to the danger. As he continues his search for Lisa, a door swings open, and he's confronted by a man with a gun, Oscar, the gas station attendant. They engage in a heated exchange. Will demands to know where Lisa is. Oscar initially claims he's there to buy drugs, as the place is a narcotics lab. He then admits he's aware of the troubles in Will and Lisa's relationship, information given to him by Knuckles. Will is stunned by this revelation and pleads with Oscar for any information about Lisa. Oscar demands a payment of $20,000 in exchange for the information. Will initially refuses, distrustful of Oscar, but when Oscar shows him Lisa's phone, Will is convinced and agrees to pay any amount for information on Lisa. As Will angrily accuses Oscar of involvement in Lisa's abduction, an explosion suddenly erupts, killing Oscar and hurling Will to the ground. The scene shifts back to the initial setting with Detective Paterson interrogating Knuckles about why he claimed Lisa was dead. Knuckles explains he was joking about Frank, Lisa's former boyfriend, suggesting they could extort money from her wealthy husband. He admits to abducting Lisa at the gas station and taking her to Frank, who became enraged upon realizing the gas station had cameras. Frank ordered Knuckles to dig a grave to bury Lisa, fearing they couldn't let her live. Knuckles feared Frank might kill him too, hence his panic and insistence he had no intention of harming Lisa beyond using her for ransom. Paterson presses Knuckles for the location of the intended burial site, learning it's at Frank's house. When Paterson arrives at Frank's place, firefighters are dousing the flames. He finds Will and informs him that Knuckles has been found in his car. Will, looking visibly stressed, questions the detective about whether he'll be arrested. The detective, focusing on the investigation, asks Will to stay put and proceeds to check a suspicious hole in the ground. He uncovers it to find it empty. Meanwhile, Will hears noises from a nearby shed. He discovers Lisa inside, alive but bound and visibly shaken. He reassures her, comforts her, and helps her out of the shed. The next scene shows Will at Lisa's parents' house, waiting alone. Detective Paterson arrives with updates. Knuckles has confessed and implicated Frank as the main perpetrator. The detective mentions that not all casualties in the lab explosion were due to the blast itself, as some had gunshot wounds. However, he indicates he won't pursue this line of inquiry further. He advises Will to look after himself and then departs. Lisa emerges, accompanied by her parents. She requests some private time with Will. The couple, now reunited, walks towards the house, smiling and holding hands, signifying a hopeful reconciliation. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.